I'm a 34-year-old man, and I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this, but here we are. I've been married to my wife, who is 32 years old, for 8 years. We met in college, fell in love quickly, and honestly, I thought she was the one, my forever person. Our marriage wasn't perfect, no marriage is, but we had what I thought was solid communication, mutual respect, and a good amount of intimacy. We don't have kids, just a dog that we both treat like our baby. The reason I'm here is I think my wife might be cheating, and I'm terrified to even write that sentence. For the past few weeks, there's been this gnawing feeling in my stomach. Little things she says, her mood swings, the way she suddenly guards her phone. I've tried to convince myself it's just my imagination, but deep down, I know something's not right.
It started small, the kind of things you'd only notice if you really knew someone inside out. She began staying late at work more often. At first, I didn't think much of it. She'd had busy seasons before. But this time, her excuses felt flimsy. One evening, she came home with her hair looking freshly washed and makeup reapplied, even though she swore she'd just been in the office. Then came the phone changes. She had always been casual with it, left it on the coffee table, face up, didn't mind if I grabbed it to Google something. Now it was glued to her hand. Notifications were silenced, and it was always face down. She even took it into the bathroom, which she'd never done before. The final straw came one Friday night. She was working late again, so I decided to surprise her by bringing dinner to her office. When I got there, the lights were off, and her car was gone. My calls went straight to voicemail. I went home confused and uneasy. Later that night, she walked in, smiling a little too brightly, holding a bag from a restaurant we'd never been to. "Team dinner," she said quickly, before disappearing into the bedroom. I didn't have proof yet, but in that moment I knew I was no longer imagining things. Something was happening behind my back, and I was going to find out what. A few days later, I couldn't take the uncertainty anymore. I'd been replaying every suspicious moment in my head, losing sleep, barely able to focus at work. I needed answers. That evening, she was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I sat down across from her and just said it. "Are you cheating on me?" She froze. For a long second, she didn't blink, didn't breathe, just stared at me. Then she laughed, but it was this nervous, shaky laugh that didn't sound like her. "Where is this coming from?" she asked, her voice tight. I listed everything, the late nights, the guarded phone, the Friday at the office that wasn't the office. Her face shifted between shock, irritation, and something that looked like fear. She didn't outright deny it. Instead, she got defensive. "You're paranoid. You're making something out of nothing. You don't trust me anymore. That's the problem." I told her, trust isn't the problem. It's the fact that she's giving me reasons not to have it. That's when she stood up, grabbed her phone, and said she needed some air. She didn't come home until after midnight, and she didn't answer a single one of my calls. That night, lying in bed alone, my mind wouldn't stop racing. Every sound outside made me hope it was her finally coming home, and every minute that passed without her made me sink deeper into this cold, heavy feeling in my chest. I kept replaying our entire relationship in my head. The trips we'd taken, the nights we'd stayed up talking about the future, the way she used to look at me like I was the only person in the room. Now it all felt like it was rotting from the inside out. When she finally stumbled in around 1 a.m., she didn't even try to climb into bed with me. She went straight to the bathroom, stayed in there for what felt like forever, and then slept in the guest room. The next morning, I woke up with this numb, hollow feeling. Anger was there, yes, but it was buried under a layer of grief I hadn't expected. It wasn't just the thought of her with someone else, it was the realization that the person I thought I knew might not even exist anymore. That day at work, I barely spoke to anyone. My coworkers probably thought I was sick. In a way,
I was. It felt like someone had taken a sledgehammer to my chest and I was just supposed to walk it off. By the time I got home, I knew something had to change. I couldn't live in this limbo waiting for her to either come clean or for me to catch her red-handed. The following weekend, she said she had to run errands. Normally, I wouldn't have questioned it, but now, every word out of her mouth felt like a test I was supposed to fail. About 20 minutes after she left, I grabbed my keys and followed. I'm not proud of it. I'd never done anything like that before. But at this point, my sanity was hanging by a thread. She didn't go anywhere near the grocery store or the mall. Instead, she drove across town to a quiet little cafe I'd never seen her visit before. I parked far enough away to watch without being noticed. A few minutes later, a man walked in, tall, dark-haired, dressed casually, but with that trying to look effortless vibe. When she saw him, her face lit up in a way I hadn't seen in months. She hugged him. They sat close, too close. She touched his hand when she laughed. He leaned in when he spoke. My stomach turned and I felt this cold electric wave rush through me. After about an hour, they left together, walking side by side toward the parking lot. He opened her car door for her. I didn't follow them any further. I just sat there, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white, and realized there it was, the truth I'd been dreading. And there was no unseeing it. She came home later that evening acting like nothing happened. She put her keys down, greeted the dog, and asked if I wanted takeout. I didn't play along this time. "Who's the guy from the cafe?" I asked, my voice steady but cold. Her head snapped up, and for a moment her face went pale. She opened her mouth like she was going to deny it, but I kept talking. "Tall, dark hair, about my height. You met him around 2 p.m., stayed for an hour, and then left together." She stared at me, her lips pressed into a thin line. Finally, she sighed and sat down at the edge of the couch. "It's not what you think," she started, the oldest, weakest line in the book. "Then what is it?" I pressed. She said his name was Alex, a friend from her old job, and that they'd just been catching up. But the way she avoided my eyes told me I wasn't buying it. When I asked why she lied about where she was going, she got defensive again, accusing me of spying and not trusting her. "You're right," I said. "I don't trust you, and you've given me every reason not to." She didn't say a word after that, just went into the bedroom and shut the door. The next few days felt like living with a stranger. We barely spoke, and when we did, it was surface level. "Did you feed the dog?" Or "Can you hand me the salt?" No eye contact, no warmth, no trace of the life we used to share. She spent most evenings in the bedroom with the door closed, scrolling on her phone or watching Netflix alone. I stayed in the living room, pretending to focus on whatever show was on, but my mind was elsewhere, stuck in a loop of cafe scenes and unanswered questions. The air in the house was heavy. Every meal was silent. Even the dog seemed unsettled, pacing around like he could feel the tension pressing down on both of us. I tried once to break through it, to ask her again for the truth, but she shut me down with a sharp, "I told you it's nothing." That was it. Conversation over. And that silence, it was worse than yelling. Yelling at least would have meant she cared enough to fight. This was indifference, the slow, quiet death of something I'd thought was unbreakable. On the fourth night of this Cold War, I couldn't take it anymore. I walked into the bedroom, shut the door behind me, and sat down in the chair across from where she was lying in bed scrolling on her phone. "We're not doing this anymore," I said. She looked up at me, annoyed. "Doing what?" "Pretending everything's fine, pretending you didn't meet him, pretending you're not lying to my face." She set her phone down slowly, like she was stalling for time. "I told you—" "Stop," I cut her off. My voice cracked just a little, but I didn't care. "I saw you with him. I saw the way you looked at him. And if you tell me one more time it's nothing, I swear to God I'll pack my bags tonight." For a long moment, she just stared at me. Then she sighed, this
deep, heavy sigh that made my stomach drop and said quietly, "Fine, you're right." It felt like the floor fell out from under me. "How long?" I asked. "A few months," she said, barely above a whisper. And just like that, the last bit of hope I'd been clinging to died. I don't know why I asked. Some part of me thought that knowing the details would help me make sense of it all. Spoiler, it didn't. She told me they'd reconnected when he messaged her on Instagram just to see how she was doing. At first, it was casual. Friendly chats, old memories. Then one night, when she was feeling lonely because I'd been working late, she agreed to meet him for a drink. One thing led to another, she said. Like it was just some accident. Like she'd tripped and fallen into his bed. I sat there staring at the wall as she explained that it wasn't serious, that she still loved me but felt unseen lately. Every word felt like someone was driving a nail into my chest. I wanted to scream at her, to tell her that if she felt unseen, she could have talked to me, that love doesn't give you permission to betray someone. But my voice wouldn't come out. My body just shut down. And then she said the thing that made my blood run cold. "I didn't tell you because I didn't want to hurt you." As if keeping me in the dark while she lived a double life was somehow an act of kindness. That night, I didn't sleep. I just lay there in the dark, listening to her breathing beside me, wondering how many nights she'd come home from him and laid in this same bed without a shred of guilt showing. My mind kept swinging like a pendulum. One moment I thought, maybe we can fix this. 8 years together, people make mistakes. The next moment, I was imagining myself packing my bags, walking out the front door, and never looking back. I thought about my parents, about the friends who'd always called us the perfect couple, about the wedding photos hanging in the hallway. Would they just become painful reminders, or could we ever make new ones that didn't feel like lies? Around 4 a.m., I sat on the edge of the bed and realized something. Whatever decision I made, it couldn't be out of fear. Not fear of being alone, not fear of starting over, not fear of judgment. It had to be about whether I could ever truly trust her again. And deep down, I already knew the answer. A few days later, I sat her down in the living room. No shouting, no tears, just a quiet, heavy space between us. "I've thought a lot about us," I began, trying to keep my voice steady, "about everything that's happened and what it means for our future." She looked at me, eyes wide, waiting for what I'd say next. "I don't think I can keep doing this, pretending everything's okay when it's not. I don't know if I can ever trust you again." She started to say something, but I held up my hand. "I need to walk away, at least for now, maybe forever. I need to find myself again, without this weight dragging me down." For a moment, she looked broken, and maybe she was. Then she nodded slowly and whispered, "I understand." It wasn't the ending I'd hoped for, but maybe it was the one I needed. Looking back, I never imagined I'd be the one writing this kind of post. It's painful, humbling, and honestly, exhausting. What I've learned is this: trust is the foundation of any relationship. Once it cracks, it's hard to rebuild. And it takes time, patience, and honesty from both sides. If you're reading this and going through something similar, here's my advice. Don't ignore the signs. That nagging feeling in your gut is usually trying to tell you something important. Seek the truth, no matter how hard it is. Living in uncertainty hurts more than facing reality. Communicate openly. Even when it's scary, even when it hurts, honesty matters. Take care of yourself. Your feelings are valid,
and it's okay to take time to heal. Remember that your worth isn't defined by someone else's actions. You deserve love and respect. I don't know what the future holds for me, but I do know I'm ready to find peace, with or without her.